everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Deliver with Confidence, How BIM Maturity Drives on Time, on Budget Projects. This webinar is brought to you by Graitec. My name is Misty Scott, and I am pleased to be your moderator today. As a reminder, you can find the schedule of upcoming events, webinars, and training on our calendar at asti.com/calendar. Before we dive in, we'd love to learn more about how we can best support you and your business. If you could take a moment to answer the poll questions located on the right-hand side of your screen, it'd help us learn how we can best support you. And if through any time during the webinar, you're like, you know what, I really like what these guys are talking about and I want to learn just a little bit more, you can answer yes to the poll question for a free 10-minute discovery call. All right. I'm very pleased to introduce these group of gentlemen here, your speakers today. Joining us is Neil Nemec, our Customer Success Director, Matt Dillon, our Consulting Services Director, and Jim Fandroy, our Sales Director for AE and Government. Thank you guys for joining us today, and I'm going to turn it on over to you.
Awesome. Thank you, Misty. Welcome, everybody. Excited to be talking to you. Neil Nemec, Director of Client Success, been in the industry for 20 years. Actually worked at Autodesk for 15 of those, and even at some of the competitors like Bentley and Hexagon. And you know what? All of that experience and working at different companies, BIM is foundational. It's at the center of this. And today I'm really excited to be talking to you about BIM maturity with my colleagues Jim and Matt. And we're going to go ahead and get into it right now. So just a quick recap, right? BIM. Back in the day, I think everybody was out to buy a box of BIM. And, you know, the understanding was, oh, it's this movement from, you know, working in a 2D space to 3D. But really, as most of you probably really understand, it's the information behind the geometry that is the true asset, the true value of it. And it works through these, you know, project cycles of doing the design to constructing it to then operating an infrastructure project and then maintaining it over the life cycle. So let's go ahead and just look at BIM maturity and just refocus here. BIM maturity levels, of which there are really 4, have different dimensions to it. Now at level 0, this is really the basic, the CAD, the 2D. This is taking information, but largely it's not in a collaborative sense. In fact, it's heavily paper-based. They may be using some kind of CAD software in conjunction to, a lot of times it might be paper, it might be a digital representation of that in PDF form. And collaboration is really left to people and sometimes human error to bring that project forward. Now, as we move on to this level 1, this is where you see the 2D and 3D really start to ignite. And it's also where that CDE, that common data environment, where information is held in a single, say, point of truth. That could be a database. It could be a file format that allows multiple people to access that information and or ideally in the cloud to occur, okay? So that's level 1, and that is actually predominantly where most of the industry sits today. Now, moving on, we get into really what is level 2, and this is the 4th and 5th dimension. 4D and 5D is cost, it's also time, so scheduling becomes really important in that level 2 BIM maturity level. One of the things that I will say is there's often a huge hurdle going from that level 1 to level 2, and I'll talk more about that in just a second. But this is level 1 to level 2 where most of the industry is still maturing today, okay? And as I look at what are the levels of maturity that you guys are pulling on right now, I see some adjustments. We're all saying, yeah, it's probably more of a level 1. We're standardized on, you know, 3D. We've got our central data environment where we're starting to collaborate digitally more. But we might be working on that 4D and 5D element on our projects. Now, moving forward, we get to level 3. Level 3 is still elusive to many. 60 and 70, those dimensions often account for things like sustainability. They're also the promise of this idea of digital twins, having a digital representation of that project that can be managed over time with that owner. But as I note here, 73% of all organizations are still maturing between that level 1 to level 2 right now. And there's actually a high failure rate in moving to a full level 2. And oftentimes it has to do with the integration of other data into that project information. So it could be things like an ERP system to track cost on that project, for example. Something else that's happening right now within BIM maturity that we're seeing, and you can move on, is now there's another level of collaboration that's coming online, and it is artificial intelligence. It's how can we take advantage of these machine learning entities that can help us to do very specific things. It might work on your models to do QA and QC. It might give you added capabilities to start to query and ask questions of your project over the life cycle and delivery of that, right? By putting that AI agent into your BIM operation or for the owner that you're going to be delivering that to. So this is a really exciting and interesting time right now, not only to just revisit BIM maturity, to optimize your projects, to really ascertain the timing of completion, but also following budget constraints. And we know right now, we're seeing this with all of our clients, that geopolitical pressures right now, things like tariffs and the cost of materials is making BIM maturity really important to a lot of organizations to carry on, but also to differentiate themselves in the marketplace right now. So let's just talk a little bit more about that. The reason that BIM maturity is now being refocused by a lot, and you can move forward here, Matt, are really these 3 elements. One thing that accelerating BIM maturity requires is scalable software that promotes and enables a solid BIM standard. Every client that I talk to, the CAD or the BIM standard is a centerpiece in the conversation. It's really about your data and managing that data over the life cycle of project delivery. But consider that only 38% of firms globally consistently follow their standard. Only 38%. And I would say that that's pretty standard in terms of what we see in the industry today. The other reason that a lot of clients or entities, I'll say businesses, will fail going from that BIM maturity level 1 to BIM maturity 2 is because they don't have the expertise. We're really talking about integrating a lot of information there. So what we routinely see is that 75% of companies oftentimes require consulting or additional implementation integration services to make that jump from BIM maturity level 1 to BIM maturity level 2. And then the last one is just automation and interoperability of BIM information. And this is really what's interesting, is that nearly 100% of firms that are in that BIM level 2, which have 4D and 5D, require some form of integration. Again, I'll go back to that ERP example of integrating cost information into their BIM design project. That often always requires external expertise and integration services to make that a reality here. And so with this in mind, I wanted to talk to you about how Graitec is helping our clients specifically around getting through this gap from level 1 to level 2 and this promise of level 3. And to do that, I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Mr. Matt Dillon. Matt?
Thank you, Neil. So yeah, I wanted to take some time to talk about some of the things that we're doing on the consulting end to facilitate wherever you might be on your BIM journey, whether you're moving from a level 0 to a 1 to a 2 or even 3. And we're doing this with some bundles of services, because really it takes more than just buying a product or taking training. There's more involved, right? So we want to try to meet our customers where you are. Whether you're just starting out in your BIM implementation, there are certain things that need to happen to make that a success, again, beyond just products or training. Or if you're further along in your implementation, where are you on that spectrum? And where do you want to go from there? And that's what we can help you do. And to do this, we've got a couple of tiered offerings. We have a BIM implementation bundle, which is geared more for firms that are just starting to implement BIM. And then we have the BIM maturity bundle, which is geared to find out where you are on that spectrum, and then where do you want to go? How do we get you there? A little more detail on these. The BIM implementation bundles, again, these are for firms, organizations that are just starting to seriously implement BIM. And it starts with what we call up and ready services. Most of these are geared around Revit for some flavor of work, whether it be MEP, structural engineering, architecture, interior design, fabrication, that kind of thing. We have several of these services available. They all involve some form of training, usually an essentials class, maybe a little bit more. Also some implementation assistance, primarily in the form of developing your BIM standards based on maybe what your current standards are with whatever you're using now, and taking those and making them accessible in Revit or whatever the product is. We also have services for Civil 3D, for example. And then we also finish it with mentoring and coaching. So we realize that, once you have your template in place, once you've done your essentials training, you get going on that first project and you're going to need some help. You're going to run into things that weren't covered in the class, or that maybe you just don't remember. And that's what this mentoring and coaching is for. But we add to that, once that's done, ongoing BIM management services. And I'll expand on this in a minute. But essentially what this allows for is, again, as you're moving forward initially with that BIM implementation, we can do certain services for you that facilitate that a little bit more. And again, I'll get more into what that is. For the Revit users, we also add Ideate software. This is an offering that we have here at Graitec. Very, very powerful and productive add-on tools for Revit for a whole variety of things. I'll give you, again, a little bit more information on it. And we provide training on how to use those tools on top of Revit. Now, this is a bundle, and as a bundle, we can discount it. Basically, if you commit to the entire bundle up front, we offer a 15% discount right off the top.
Matt,
Now,
before you move on,
Sure.
I want to go back to the point around AI and exposing model information. One of the things that Ideate specifically will take the information within a model and then export it, or actually sync it into Excel. And what we're seeing some innovative clients do right now is, once it's in Excel, they're bringing that information into AI, and they're actually querying that model. They might be looking for specific codes to look to see if it's meeting specifications. But we're starting to see some really interesting use cases. But it starts with exposing that data that's in the model. Ideate is one of the ways that we're helping clients to do that. Yeah, sorry, Matt.
That's okay. That's good. That's right. Thanks. So let's talk about these two offerings, right? So the BIM management services, just to expand on this a little bit, these are a way for companies to offload the normal BIM management stuff that, if you're just starting out with BIM, you may not have anybody on staff that can perform these tasks. They don't have enough knowledge, or you just haven't got the budget yet to have a full-time BIM manager on staff. And so you can offload those tasks to us. They can include additional training, content creation. So you need, for example, casework families in Revit. We can do that for you. Project support. A lot of times our BIM management customers will engage us to help them get, for example, their Autodesk Construction Cloud projects kicked off correctly and set up correctly, the files uploaded and stored properly, etc. These are based on a monthly a bucket of hours that we budget for, and we can help you determine what that budget needs to be. And they're usually either a 3, 6, or 12-month commitment. You're invoiced monthly, so it's a little bit easier to digest. It's not one big bill. And you have a priority response. You don't have to log a support case and then have it escalated up to an implementation consultant. You can reach our implementation consultants directly, and you will typically have a primary point of contact. But if that person isn't available, there will be others available to help you immediately within at least an hour or less. And then the Ideate software, as Neil said, it really accelerates to that next level of BIM maturity, or helps you accelerate to that next level of BIM maturity pretty effectively. And the BIM Link product you see there toward the bottom is what he was talking about, that allows you to export data from Revit into Excel and then do whatever you want with it, whether it's putting it into an AI application, processing it with something else, or editing it in Excel and bringing it back into Revit. This is a great way of getting people on your team that maybe don't use Revit, that need to collaborate on the data in the Revit model. They can actually do that. There's a whole bunch of other applications. There's a whole slew of Ideate apps, which are just general purpose tools that you can use in Revit to streamline common tasks. The Project Explorer and Style Manager are excellent tools for maintaining model health and standards, which is extremely important if you're going to have any kind of BIM maturity. You've got to have a good quality model, and these two tools are really, really valuable in helping that happen. Ideate Sticky extends the capability of Revit by allowing you to have, for example, specially formatted schedules. If you're a structural engineer, for example, and you have a certain format of schedule that you do in Excel and you'd like to reproduce that in Revit, honestly, Revit has some limitations on how we can format schedules. But you can bring an Ideate Sticky, you can use Ideate Sticky to bring an Excel spreadsheet schedule into Revit, have it seen as a schedule in Revit, but still linked back to the original spreadsheet in Excel. So you can modify the data in Excel, it'll update in Revit. Now, Ideate Automation is a tool that allows you to, as the name implies, automate a whole slew of tasks. Everything from opening up a series of models and then running the Project Explorer and Style Manager to get, say, a model health check done. Have it run overnight when nobody else is working, and then you come in the morning and you've got your report ready for you. And there's a ton of other things that it can automate for you. If you have large models, you don't want to wait for them to open. Fine, you can set automate to open it up, say, in the morning before you actually show up for work. And when you come into your desk, it's already open for you. You don't have to wait for it. Tons of things you can do with those. So that's the BIM implementation bundle. That's, again, for people that have just started implementing BIM. And then we have the BIM maturity bundles. This is a little different because we really don't know where someone is on that spectrum from just beginning to implement BIM through full BIM maturity. And we don't want to make any assumptions. Again, we try to meet our customers where they are. So the first step in this particular bundle is what we call a BIM Roadmap Workshop, where we do some analysis, we give you a report, we have recommendations for improvement. There's a statement of work. I'll expand on this in a minute. But this is performed at or below our cost. We're really not trying to make money here. We're just trying to figure out, where are you and where do you want to go and how do we get you there? There's a minimal time commitment on the customer's part. We do most of the heavy lifting. Once that BIM roadmap is done, that will typically result in some sort of recommendation for additional services, possibly some product, but it'll be some sort of a customized offering. It could be a series of what we call package service offerings. We have a whole catalog of different service offerings that we've done multiple times, and we can reproduce these over and over. They have very predictable results. Or it could be a truly customized offering. It really depends on what the workshop reveals as to what would be the best solution for you. And if you commit to that offering, then again, you have a choice, a 15% discount on the fee schedule, or you can apply the workshop fee. So whichever works out better for you, you can apply one or the other. So let's expand on the BIM Roadmap Workshop just a little bit. Again, what it includes is fairly in-depth discovery and analysis. We gather some templates from you. If you have existing, say, Revit templates or Civil 3D templates, we will gather those from you. We'll take a look at those, any kind of standards documentation you may or may not have. If you have it, take a look at that. We'll look at some of your sample projects, and what we're looking for there is, are you following your standards? Are you adhering to common best practices in Revit? Are there some things that are causing problems in your model that could either be causing performance issues, stability issues, or even worse, issues on down the line once it's on the job site, coordination issues. We also do a skills assessment. Where are your people? Because typically when you're further down the line in your BIM maturity, people's skill levels vary, and we look for maybe common knowledge holes, or maybe you have a group of people that are ready for some really advanced training so they can start to help you take things to the next level, or conversely, maybe you have a group of people that are a little bit less experienced, need some additional training. We can uncover that and help you develop a reasonable and an effective training program for them. The next step after we do the analysis is to actually conduct a workshop. And during this workshop, and this is where your time commitment comes in, these things take anywhere from 2 to 4 hours. They can be split up into multiple sessions. But essentially what we do there is we give you kind of a brief overview of what the analysis results are without really any commentary. And then we ask for clarification. So we might run into something in a project or in your template. Well, why are you doing it this way? It's maybe not the norm, but why are you doing it this way? You may have a valid reason for doing it, and we wouldn't want to change that. But we also talk more about workflows and get a conversation going with you about that. Things that are working for you, things that you're struggling with, or maybe things that you just like to move to the next level. Following that, once we get all of that done, we take all that information and we put it together in a very extensive report. It's got 4 parts. The first part is just a very detailed review of what we found in the analysis with no commentary. It's just, these are the facts. Then we talk about what do we recommend to improve and what do we recommend that you do to get to where you want to go. And then we put in a statement of work. What does that really entail? If we were to do the work, how would we go about doing it? And then we also add a fee schedule. If you want us to do the work, this is what our proposed fee is. So it's a very extensive report. Usually it's several pages, but it's got quite a bit of information in there. And honestly, it's got a statement of work in there. If you don't like our fee, you can put it out to bid. That's part of the deliverable. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to my friend Jim Banjoy to talk about the value proposition.
Thanks, Matt. As you can see, there's a bunch of keywords that are flying up on the screen right now. I want to take a minute while those are coming up and just thank Neil, Matt, Misty for getting everybody together today and going through these important topics. I think it's great. It's important to really peel back several layers and let people understand that how important BIM maturity really is to their organizations. With that, I'd love for you to take just a minute to look at the words that are on the screen. These are outcomes and things that we see that BIM maturity drives in business today, and maybe give a top 3 ranking in the chat. What are the 3 most important words that you see popping up there, and how they would impact your business? And we'll take just a minute, pause for a second, let you guys throw some words in the chat just to get some feedback and see what you guys are interested in.
Top 3, that's tough.
No takers.
All of the above. No, that's 4.
The above, right? That should be the best. That should be the best right there. All of the above. So I think that's they're pretty resounding words, right? Efficiency, collaboration, quality, productivity, sustainability. They're all impacts to your businesses on a daily basis. And from project to project, right? So let's go ahead and move on to the next slide. Let's start talking about how these impact your businesses and come out in things like improved design accuracy and coordination. What does that really mean to you? And what we're seeing from our clients is, when they take advantage of BIM maturity and the tool sets that they have at their fingertips, we're seeing upwards of 95% reduction in design clashes. So finding those things earlier in the design process, being able to alleviate those before you get to the build process and the construction phase. 40% reduction in RFIs, that's huge, right? The less time that you're spending having that information back and forth, from the field and now back to designers is where you're seeing those impacts. Go ahead and hit a click for me, Matt. It'll be the same for each of these slides. Thank you. So why does it matter, right? Fewer clashes, fewer RFIs directly translate to lower construction, rework costs, faster approvals during the build phase. We're seeing that with our clients that are taking advantages of these services, these products on a daily basis when it comes to the accuracy that they're seeing in their models now. Go ahead and click. Faster project delivery. I think everybody would agree being able to deliver faster on-time projects is an utmost requirement for your firm, your team throughout your existence. Seeing 10 to 30% increases across that, 50% client approvals or increase in client approvals based on high fidelity models or visualizations that you can leverage using BIM models versus a lot of 2D paper assets and things like that. Why does that matter? Again, increases that profitability, client satisfaction rates go up, which are key deliverables for repeat business and expanding into complex projects or more complex projects than you're currently doing today. Reducing those costs across the project, right? Predictability and control. 3% sounds like a small number, but when it's a multi-million-dollar project you're referring to, a single percentage point is a massive savings to your project. I'd love to have that in my bank account. I think anybody would, right? 25 to 50% reduction in material waste. Those are, that's hitting the rubber to the road right there. When you're saving the materials, not having to reorder materials or, order materials that weren't in the correct takeoffs and things like that. That's where it's extremely valuable. Go ahead and click, Matt. Again, driving those costs right back saves the firm at the AEC level as well as the client on the back end that's getting the deliverable of the project for you. Next slide. The lifecycle management. 20 to 30% reduction in facility management. Going back to what you were referring to, Neil, that AI world, right? Being able to tie in digital twins to physical assets, leverage that information together. That's taken that BIM maturity up to that level 3, level 4 classification that you really can start to accelerate into. And why does that matter? There we go. Owners are looking for partners that can deliver on those projects, right? They're not just looking for a simple delivery of the building or the design. At the end of it, they're looking for partners that they can work with that have the ability to deliver these types of environments for them and work together with them and pull them up as well as, deliver on those high-end projects. And last but not least, go ahead. The competitive differentiation. I think this is where everybody can see the impact. If you're accelerating into the BIM maturity world, you're taking yourselves from a 0 to a 1 to a 2 to a 3. It's going to give you the ability to, win more projects or have that notoriety in the industry where people are coming to you for those projects as much as you wanting to deliver those to them. Go ahead and click. There we go. So take that for what it is. I think what we want to deliver to you today is a call to action that says, we have the expertise, we have the tools, we have the desire to work with your firms. We have, excuse me, we have the ability to engage with you at your level, meet you where you are today, and help you accelerate to the next level. And I think Neil, Matt, and myself, we would love to engage you in a conversation, see where you guys are, and hopefully take you to that next level.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, guys. And yeah, if you're interested in setting up a quick discovery call, you can hit yes on that answer in the poll questions. I know we had lots of conversation going through the chat. Do you guys want to double click on anything, any feedback, anything that we want to close out the webinar with?
Questions, comments, jokes, anecdotes, we take them all.
I like the comment by Robert Bell. A building information model without the information is just a BM.
Yeah.
That's,
Might even be BS at the end of the day, right?
that may be a new bumper sticker right there.
It could be. Well, we appreciate all of you. This is our contact information. You can reach out to us directly. Would love to continue the conversation or answer any questions from the information that we shared today. There's actually a lot here. Just what Matt was talking about. It's not just technology by itself, but it's expertise coming together, oftentimes to really be able to help clients mature. And we're seeing more and more of this in the industry right now, especially with some of the headwinds that we see coming right now. So appreciate your time. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you all. Have a great rest of the day. Bye-bye.
Cheers.
Cheers.